Hi guys, my name is Deepak and welcome you in the Bartendersseries, a very special episode where we're going to talk about the education and industry. Education, the word we are listening from our childhood, and we're going to listen this thing I think for many years continue. But how this word come across? How this word come across? A very great person from India named Mahatama Gandhi say once upon a time, if you give me rice, I will eat one day, but if you teach me how to grow rice, I will eat lifelong. So they're all about the education, how you can train a person. On today's episode, we have a very nice person and a good friend, Mr. John Collingwood. He's the operations manager of Fling Bar Academy from United Kingdom. John has an experience of 8 years in the education field, and he traveled 28 different countries, including 20 pre-openings, and he did more than 80 contracts. So how he come in the industry, how he start teaching to the people, this is all we're going to ask him in today's episode. And at the same time, we're going to understand from his perspective as a trainer what all he teach to his to the team, to the guys or the new people with a different culture, different ethics whenever he meet. So let me invite Mr. John Collingwood on the video now.
Mr. Deepak.
Hi John. How are you, Mr. John?
I'm all
Very
right.
good, very good. What about you?
No complaints, my friend. No complaints.
No complaint. Very good. So how's your the things in the United Kingdom right now? Good.
As you probably will know, it's raining. It's cold, and no, everything's cool. Just obviously coming out of lockdown from Corona, and just hopefully going to be getting back to some resemblance of normality, really.
Okay. Cool. It sounds good. So everyone, this is Mr. John Collingwood from England, and as I mentioned, he going to share his experience, how he come in the education industry, and he become a trainer to train the people and consult to the hotels and the restaurants and the bars to be on the next level. So John, let's start with the things. Can you tell us something more about you, your background, and how you come in the industry? How you joined the industry actually?
Well, I don't like saying this, but it started back in 1999. So,
Okay.
yeah, I've just turned 41. So, it started when I was at university. So, needed to get a little bit of money coming in. So, just worked at the local university bar. And then in my second year, I ended up working at a really cool bar in Manchester called The Living Room. And that really cemented myself, really wanting to kind of continue in the industry. I then ended up, after that, getting a job with Bacardi Brown Forman. So I worked for them for 6 years and started off as account manager and then moved into the training and mixology team. So that was brilliant because I got to learn about brands in a corporate environment. And then after that, there was another crisis, the big financial crisis. So I left the company, set up my own business, worked for that for a few years, doing cocktail training and events, and then had to go back into bars for a couple of years. And then eventually there was an advertisement on Facebook for a 3-week contract in the Maldives with Fling, and that was in 2012. I applied, and I've been with them since. So it's coming up to 8 years.
Wow! So this is how the thing started with just a Facebook ad.
Just with a Facebook ad, yeah. It was just kind of I was looking away, and that's how we get a lot of we get a lot of our team is we just put advertisements out there saying, do you want to kind of join the team? And then obviously there's an interviewing process, and just making sure how people are. But a lot of the times we don't understand how well a consultant's going to be until you're on site, because it's not just about, as you know, it's not just about making drinks. It's the full caboodle. It's the organizational skills, getting on with people, getting things open. It's a really cool, hard work, but very rewarding.
And what about the traveling and putting yourself in the jet lag, then sleeping one day early and one day after
Yeah,
that?
well, you do get to see a lot of the world, and I've been very fortunate. I've pretty much been everywhere from the Caribbean to the Middle East to Asia, to meeting you and driving on the back of a moped.
Yeah, but on my bike with the pink helmet.
Yeah, the pink helmet was amazing. Yes, and trying to get so it very what I've kind of realized is that obviously you're learning obviously education is not just about learning about spirit, but education is learning about yourself and how you manage yourself, about new cultures and people and flavors and tastes. So if you're going off your day off and you're going around some night markets, you might try something and go, that's amazing, or try an ingredient you've never had before. Education is all the time, and you should never ever stop learning.
That's good. That's actually true. That's why we are in such an industry where we keep learning the new thing. I
Yeah,
still remember. I still remember the first time when I met you in the 2018, and I'm
yeah,
like, okay, there's few things which I don't even know, and I start learning. We start talking the thing. We start
yeah,
putting the things together, and this
yeah,
is how the thing started.
yeah,
So
completely.
so learning is never stopped. That's for true. But
Nope.
what's in your point of view? What is the education and how education about the in the beverage industry started?
Well, it really started what I kind of, when I was at the living room, I start when I was a bartender. We used to have religiously every Monday we had a training session, maybe with a brand, maybe with one of the head bartenders and the management. And then so I kind of learned from that. But then when I was at Bacardi, education was huge. You had to learn about the brands, you had to learn about your competition. So I learned a lot about that from there. And then obviously education's pretty much been a part and parcel of my career since the mid noughties. So I'm talking like
Uh-huh.
15 years or more. So yeah, it's hard to put a number on it. But for me, I just seem to love imparting knowledge. I love making sure that I don't hold it to myself, because the problem being is if you're an educator and you keep it to yourself, then how is the next generation going to learn? And obviously, since the year 2000, the drinks industry has exploded. I remember when I would look at a back bar, and there in the gin, there would be Gordon's, there would be Tanqueray, Hendrix had just come out, and Bombay Sapphire. That was it. There was four. And
And
Absolute was just starting. And now if you just go to a normal bar, you've got a minimum of 10 different gins, loads of different tonics. And even since going to Bangkok, I started going to Bangkok in 2013. And the
uh-huh.
kind of explosion I've seen in that industry has been absolutely phenomenal. So I can only think, if you're a brand new bartender, how intimidating it must be to walk onto a bar and just see a wall of spirits and just not know where to start. You're like, what on earth do I do? But the first thing, man, the guys taught me was that if you're setting up the bar or closing it down, just pick up a bottle, clean it, and read it, because
Yep.
a lot of the time you will then just slowly but surely learn your knowledge. What's the ABV? I don't know, if you're doing whiskey, where's it made? Sometimes, like on a bottle of Havana, they have tasting notes. So you can Havana 7. So you can just it's really, you can really learn just by doing your job, which is, and obviously part and parcel of your job is keeping it nice and clean.
Yeah, you can keep your bar nice and clean, and you can
And you get
actually enjoy.
educated. Yeah.
And the same time, you learn something what's already on
Yep.
your bottle, and you
Yep.
don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
that's true. The education is everywhere. So, John, let's move forward. Can you tell us something about the Fling Bar? I know, like
You know,
my friend know, but okay, my company know, but what about the others? What about the other? If they want to
see,
understand more about the Fling Bar.
see what a sales pitch. No, no, we've been going since 2003. It was set up by two best friends, Andrew Mullins and Matthew Wilkinson, and they very much identified there was a gap in the market for professional bar training. And subsequently, since then, it's very, at the beginning it was very organic. So you would have somebody who would maybe start as a food and beverage manager, then they would move to another property and they would like what we do. And it's just kind of grown now to where we actually are. And we've trained, I think, pretty much, if you think of all of the major hotel groups, we've worked there. We've trained in over 50 countries,
Okay.
which is phenomenal. So a quarter of the world we've trained in, which is mental. And we essentially just, we develop, not only, we have like a wide range of clients. So for example, yourself in Bangkok, in Banyan Tree, so like a major city, major hub. However, we also do, we can do resorts, we can do restaurants, we can do bars. We pretty much work wherever we're needed to.
Okay, so that means the company is starting in 2003, and these two guys actually come up with the idea that people
Yes,
people actually need the professional education. Am I right?
yeah. So we have a wide range of training courses. So we start off. Our most popular one is a 1-week course called the Professional Bartender course. And what this actually does is it gives a really cool foundation about the basics. It's just what you need to be a bartender. So we start off with the history of alcohol and where it came through, to then doing tastings with the major spirit brands, to then understanding the different methods of making cocktails, because the amount of times people find it difficult to open up a two-piece shaker. If you're a person that's never worked behind a bar, you need to have the confidence to then be able to make the drinks. We then go through classics, because one of the things I have noticed with it's a very good thing to see. I think some bartenders are very much trying to run before they can walk. So therefore, I said, so how long have you been in the industry? And I've been 1 year, and they want to do cocktail competitions, which is cool. However, their classical knowledge is non-existent. They only know like their signatures. Whereas for me, I kind of very much describe that cocktails are classics, are your building blocks. It's like you need to know them, because pretty much every other single cocktail is made from that. It's like your mother sauces and cooking, like your bechamels and all of that. Once you know your classics, happy day. And a few years ago, it was people always started to try free pour, but you're like, no, if you're making drinks, it's all about consistency. So therefore, and accuracy. So using jiggers, and so that's what we really try to hone in on people, is that education is everywhere. Education is every single aspect of being a bartender. And then also what we talk about is the role of a bartender. What do we have to do? Because we can be everything from a counselor to a mentor to basically making the experience for a guest and concentrating on guests. That's the number one thing, is making them happy, so they walk away having had a better experience than when they actually arrived.
Yes, I think this is the all quality every bartender need to have, and
Yes.
um, and this is, I think this is all about your course, which I attend by myself, I can say, and that's really good.
Good. That's what I like to hear, my friend.
Okay, so John, like as you say that you have a very small team, and
Yep.
you travel like around one fourth of the world already.
Yep.
How Fling Bar get work, number one, and how you guys manage the queries. Example, if you have four different queries at the same time in the four different continents, so how you guys manage?
Well, this is getting the work is primarily down to Matthew, my managing director. So we have a team in the UK, and their responsibility is to keep in contact. We have a big database of people, so that could be clients that we already have, like yourself. Whereas we're also trying to identify potential new clients. Some people, like I said, who have worked with us previously will get in touch and say, I'm opening up a hotel. It'd be really cool if you could come down. So we have like a kind of a various different strategies in which we get work. And sometimes you do have a bottleneck where, like last year, I was over in Antigua, and I was managing, I think, another 5 consultants, but they were on the
Wow.
opposite end of the world. So they were in the Maldives to the Middle East. So it can be tricky, but like I said previously, we kind of have like our full-time staff, but then we also have people who like to work with us, but can't commit to us all the time. So therefore, we have a nice little pool of people who can come in, but then sometimes we then have to broaden the net further out to recruit people, because there's so much talent out there, and it would be really cool to just get as many as we can.
Yeah, so that's why you're a small team and one person is managing so
Yeah.
many things.
Yes,
But
it's very cool because I've got my senior consultant Tim, and I've known him for a number of years, and it's just when you have to be on a similar wavelength, a similar work ethic, because sometimes we're developing a plethora of concepts and making sure that it's delivered to the level that I have been taught from my superiors, and then now I'm kind of making sure that kind of standard is maintained and continued and improved, because there's so much competition out there now. But what is very humbling is that people keep coming to us because they understand we have the capacity and they understand our reputation.
okay, okay. So yes, I think that's the best part. That's why you have the repeating clients and you get the word to mouth also business.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so John, like now my next three question is going to be overlap to each other.
Okay.
Okay, so I will ask like one by one, so it's like more easy for you to answer
Okay.
for that and then continue for the next one.
Yeah, no
Uh,
bother.
as per you, why education required?
Why is this? Well, education is it's a building blocks of an individual. It's education should just continue. It's you don't just learn at school and that's it. You don't get graduate and then graduate from high school or graduate from university. Education is as I explained previously, education is everywhere. So I've got a brain where I'm always asking, it's like, why is this happening? So therefore, if you want to, and because the industry is so vast at the moment, educating yourself is so important, because not only are your peers going to be very knowledgeable, but also your customers. Customers now are becoming far more aware of products, far more aware of classics. And if you're in the industry that we are in, which is the 5-star, then they are always looking for the next best thing. So therefore, every day you should be trying to think to yourself, how can I improve my knowledge? Because if you become complacent and you just think you know everything, then for me, you shouldn't be in the industry. It should be continually learning. That's the importance.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, actually, that's a most important thing, that you keep learning something.
Yes.
So this is so if I'm not wrong, this thing is overcome with the same thing, that you need to keep learning the professional education at this time to time, or keep doing the professional course time to time to keep yourself busy.
It's like, for example, things can happen on a daily basis. It could be, I don't know, under, like, education can be knowing what's happening in an industry. Who are the pioneering bars? Who are the pioneering bartenders? What new products are coming out? It's not just about cocktails. It's the industry as a whole. Because, for example, if a guest comes to the bar and they're like, right, I live in New York, and you're like, really cool, have you been to Dante? And they're like, well, what's Dante? And say, well, it's the world's best bar. Go and have a Negroni, or go and have, and then what that then means is then their experience is manifested and changed and moved over to their local hometown, and they might discover something that they've never had before. So their experience and their positivity about you and your hotel and your bar continues, and then they might tell their friends, and that's how the industry works. And knowledge is not just about being a bartender. Knowledge is about how can I improve a guest's experience.
Okay. Yes, that's true, and that's why you need the professional education.
Yes,
to keep yourself on the next level.
And I think as well, sometimes you might, if you haven't been taught before, and you haven't been taught by people like myself or other educators, is that we have experiences and we might be able to break things down and show you ways to simply make cocktails that you have never actually appreciated. Like, how do you take a Negroni? How do you take something like a Negroni, like a La Milano Torino, and then making a Spaghetto? And it's just changing one ingredient. That's what we kind of do, is we've got experience, we've got our knowledge, and we just want to impart it onto you.
Okay. Learning is the key of success.
Yes, it is.
John, this question is a little bit tricky,
Okay.
but let me try to simplify in my wordings, if you like it.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think a difference between a standard education system and the professional education system? The standard education system, what we learn in the hotel management school or during the graduation, and the professional education system, something like you go to the culinary school to learn about the advanced culinary, or you go to the bartending school, learn about the advanced bartending, or you go for the sommelier course like WSET level 2, 3, something like that. So what's the difference as per you?
As per me, I think that obviously if you're in a hotel management course, you're then, or whatever course it is, you're being taught about a multitude of different things. So you might be being taught about accountancy, marketing, rooms, whatever it is. Whereas if you go to a more specific educator, then that's what they specialize in, and that is their field. So therefore, what you will gain from that is a greater understanding of your passion. Because obviously, if you're doing a more overall course, and then you kind of turn around and say, I want to be a bartender, you're kind of funneling. You're going from being the bigger area to then funneling down is, this is my passion and this is what I want to learn. So therefore, you can therefore have more in-depth, more rounded training from them, and then the people that you learn from can then potentially become mentors or people that can help you in the future, which I've had. I've had people who get in touch with me with cocktails or competitions. And so therefore, I just think doing a professional course is, if it's your passion, there's no harm in doing it at all, because and if you go to different people, it's fine, because you can pick things out from different people. You can learn how they train. You can learn about, you might pick up different types of knowledge because they have a different passion. So never turn down training. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so that means professional. If you do the professional studies or you don't do, it's up to you. But if you do, it's give you a extra add-on in the career and in your
Yeah.
knowledge.
Because the thing, like for example, for ours, like our professional bartender course, it's recognized globally, because we've worked with so many hotels, that the advantage you will then have is that if a food and beverage manager or director or general manager has worked with us, and then they see on your CV, Fling Bar Services professional bartender course, and then the accreditation because then they kind of know. The advantage they then know is they know what level you've been trained to, meaning that if there was two clients, I'm not saying they might choose either one, it'll just give you, they will know who you are as an individual and what you've been through. So that's a competitive advantage, but it's not a necessity. It's not necessarily mean you will get the job. It just means it's another string to your bow, and the more on your CV, if you've got, I've done this course, I've done this course, I've done this course, then it means that your potential employers will know that you are taking it very seriously, and that you are individual, which are all personal attributes that are positive for potential employers.
Okay. So I think if somebody who's listening to you, they know what they need to do next.
Hopefully, and always do it smile. Always do it smile.
So okay, next okay, let's talk about Fling Bars. So what do you guys focus when you receive any new project?
It very much
okay. You don't need to tell me your secret, but something.
No, it's more about it's down to the client, because we have such a wide range of contracts. So, for example, it could just be a 1-week training course. So then all I will do is then ring up and speak to maybe the DFB or the food and beverage manager, get an understanding about the team members, where the training is going to be held, because ultimately we need to make sure that everything is delivered in a correct sort of environment. I can tell you many stories, I won't, about where I've done my training. However, we could have an opening where we have to, like I've done many openings, but it could be we have to train 40 bartenders. So then how do we do that? But then on the back of that, we may have to develop bars or open bars. So therefore, it's very much having a two-way conversation about, this is the key objectives that we've agreed. So therefore, how do we actually go about it, putting in schedules? Then one of the most important things is being super organized. Because if you're developing 6 menus across 6 concepts, across 6 venues, then we need to have market lists. We need to develop the concept, agree on them, and create drinks and a menu that has integrity. It has a sense of place, because we don't just throw together drinks. We are considered. We come up with concepts. We make sure that if we create something, then there is a story, because another big attribute of being a bartender is being a storyteller.
Yep.
You've got to be able, but don't get pigeonholed into thinking that you've got to stand in front of a guest and then spend the next 20 minutes talking about one ingredient or one cocktail. You've got to understand that you've got to be able to sell, which is another thing we do. We do salesmanship courses. You've got to sell it, but you've got to understand the environment you're in, and when is a good time to spend a bit more time, when it's just like straight to the point. But like I said, the beautiful thing about my job is it's always evolving, it's always changing, and there is so much cool stuff we can do. And yeah, it's really a real challenge, but in the best possible way.
Okay, cool. So I think that's the good thing that you guys have every contact have every project you have something different or sometimes similar, but for every company or every organization you need to do something new.
It's like it can't be one box fits all, because if you're developing, I don't know, a regional Indian menu, and then you're doing a menu that's Italian, it's never going to be the same.
It's not going to be the same.
However, the building blocks for the menu and the drinks will be the research that you do, because you can't just pluck things out of the air. You've got to really take the time to look and consider everything, and then following on from that, you have to think about what style of venue it is. Is it going to be a kind of a beach venue? Is it an aperitif bar? Is it what age of the demographics? There's all these kind of considerations that will then go into what sort of drinks you're going to make. Is it a new team? Is it an existing team? What skill levels? There's all these kind of factors that just come with experience. And because what you don't want to do is to introduce a menu where the team just look at you and go, what on earth am I meant to do with this? It's got to be appropriate and consistent and really delicious.
Okay. So hand to hand on the same question, what are the most common requirement you receive the training? As you already mentioned that you have one very famous, very recognized course that is 7 days, 1 week basic bartending training. This is the most common, or you have any other, or you get other kind of requirement also from your clients?
I think a lot of the time what will happen is, if we're only on site for a week, there's a minimal amount of work we can actually do. However, what we can be asked to do is do some training for the waitering staff, because obviously what is very important is that the team understand how to sell it. They understand what style of drinks they are. So we do a salesmanship course, which is really cool. It's only a day, but it enables not just the waitering team, the front of house, but also I've done it for 40 odd people, with managers to bartenders. It just gives you the confidence to understand how to actually sell stuff, because you want to sell the appropriate item to the appropriate guest, and there's a kind of a skill to that.
Yes, actually, in the hospitality industry, this is very important. If somebody understand the basic of salesmanship, and they can use that kind of keywords or key points to sell the product to the guest.
Completely. It's just like it's when you're presenting a menu. It's like you can open up a page where you think is an appropriate drink for that person, but that same menu to two different people may be different, depending on who they are, their age, the nationality, whatever it is. It's and that's the great thing, is very much not one thing for one person. It's all about personalizing service for the guest. That's when you go up from normal service to exquisite service.
Okay. So John, let's move ahead on our talk.
Yep.
As per you, what the key point for learning, or what the key point in the word you say learning? If somebody want to learn something, what the key point he need to follow or he need to do?
I think the learning is picking something you're passionate about. Because if you are passionate about something, then it's not really a chore. It's more of an enjoyment.
Yep.
And then as you learn more, then it's important that you then take those learnings and either you practice them. So you might go, you know what, I'm going to learn about some really delicious whiskey. And you spend the time, you find out about a bit about the information, and then you go, it's pointless keeping that information. The way in which it then becomes second nature is like either do a little training for your team, or going up to a guest, an appropriate guest, and trying to sell them and explaining why they should enjoy it. And then there's nothing more satisfying then you've made a recommendation, the guest loves it, and then they drink it for the rest of the day, or nothing. Okay. And then it's got to consistent. Your learning has got to be consistent. Try and learn every day, little bits. If you're traveling into work, if you have a little break, take the time to really to learn as much as you can, because if you get into a habit, it just becomes second nature, and then eventually, if you do it in little baby steps, you look back and you've come a huge distance. Whereas if you try to force yourself to learn something, it's going to be a chore and you're not going to enjoy it.
Okay.
That's education. In this industry specifically, you've just got to be passionate about what you are doing.
Okay. So that's actually good. And I can say that's the best way to start up your learning experience. Am I right?
Yes.
That's
like I said right at the beginning, if you are right at the beginning of your career in this industry, that when I first started, there wasn't a career in the drinks industry. I had people going, when are you going to get yourself a proper job? When are you going to go, you know, why you were working in bars? Why are you doing that? Whereas now, there are so many opportunities. And it's like, are you going to continue in operations? Are you going to go and work for a brand? But if you work for a brand, what sector do you want to concentrate on? Do you want to be in marketing? Do you want to be in branding? Do you want to be in the field sales? It is quite can be really not scary, but exciting, but but there's so much opportunity. It's just, you've just got to go out there and just understand that if you love being a bartender, happy days. But if you love the industry, there are other parts of the industry you can move into.
Okay, 1 second, John.
No problem.
Okay, yep, I'm totally agree with your point, and I think everybody need to do the same thing to move ahead in their career. Okay, at the moment, as you know, the current situation of the world, okay,
Yeah.
let me ask you, what the beverage industry need to work on now to move forward, as per your opinion, it's not about what people are already doing, but what do you think by yourself?
I think you've got to consider, I think the coronavirus has been it's just been insane. It's just, I've been furloughed, so I've just been at home, which has been crazy. But I think it's ensuring that guests feel safe. Safety is the king. It's, nowadays we would teach, and it would be like you're walking into a bar and you check like the ambience, the smells, the bar, the greeting and everything. Fundamentally now, it's that the number one thing a guest will be looking for is safety. Does a guest feel safe in a bar? Because obviously in England we're just coming out of the lockdowns, so that's the underlying thing of this is coronavirus is trust. Everything you're doing is to ensure that the guest feels safe. That's that until we get a vaccine.
Okay. But do we also need to make sure that if we have any guest in our outlet or anywhere, we need to make sure the guest feels safe and secure?
Yes, because the thing is, if you feel safe and secure, you're not looking around going, all right, they're doing this, they're doing that. Then once they feel safe, then they can start to enjoy themselves. However, if they're not safe, if they don't feel safe, then they're just going to be like, I'm not coming back here again. And the one thing that has changed the industry as a whole is social media. So therefore, if you're experiencing something, it could be a video, it could be a picture, it could be anything, and then that could go to however many people, and then your bar or your outlet's going to suffer.
Okay. Yes, it will. I think it's not going to suffer. It's going to suffer very hard for a long time.
Yes, and you've always got to be evolving. You've always got to be pioneering. And obviously, you can see all of the bars now where they have this skilled staff, so they're looking at doing takeaways and pre-bottled cocktails. So as an operator, you've just got to think of innovative ways in which you can maintain creativity, maintain awareness for your brand going forward.
Okay. Yep. That's for sure. John, what's your experience with the Fling Bar and how you feel?
My experiences, it's been a roller coaster. It's
Okay.
It's a roller coaster in the best sense of the word. It's opened up my eyes. It's enabled me to meet some amazing people, yourself included, and it's made me really excited about what can actually be done in this industry.
Okay.
And that it's always evolving. It's never remaining stagnant. And fundamentally, all I want to see is a person with a big grin on their face when they taste one of my drinks. And knowing that, I don't know, somebody today might be having one of my drinks. It's brilliant.
Yep.
It's really
So.
cool. It's really cool. Really cool.
Maybe somewhere somebody having your drink.
Yeah, but moreover, it's the people that I've trained, and that they feel comfortable and confident in their job. It's so cool. It's like, yeah, and when I get like a little random message saying, check out this drink I've made, and it's really cool. It's just like it puts a big smile on my face, because that's what I do this job for. It's what I'm passionate about is developing the next generation or the generation of bartenders going forward.
Cool. Before I move ahead in my next question, we have a question from Anthera. I think you can see on your screen.
Yes.
What do you find the biggest challenge to implement a concept, and how do you follow up after opening?
I think sometimes with it's clients not having a clear idea of what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore you have a conversation with them, you listen, and then you present ideas, and then they change the concept. And so you could be on this chicken and egg. It's the easiest way, flipping it, the easiest way in which to have a successful concept is having a clear vision, like a crystal clear vision. So then, in enabling us as a team to actually then go away, research it, and come back with our ideas. The next thing that is probably the number one that I have seen too many times to say is that when we arrive, we kind of develop the concept. We then come up with kind of rough ideas about what the drinks are going to be balanced like. And then following on from that, we then do a market list. We then send the market list over and say, please, can these be on site when we arrive? However, if there are any problems with any of the ingredients, please let us know, and then we can make a few tweaks. not a problem.
Okay.
And then we are told when we follow it up a week or two beforehand, saying, is everything cool? And like, yes. We arrive on site and we've got 30% of all of the products.
Cool.
So then what then happens is that the concept that was agreed and really, it then kind of goes down. And then we have to use what's on site and what we can get in. So then what we thought was going to be absolutely amazing is then changed. So therefore, it's people identifying that could be problems before we get on site. And then to carry on with that question, once opening's finished, we are always on hand to have a conversation. We do recommend that we can follow up maybe for a few days to see how the concept is going. But if there are problems, if there are things that need tweaking, we can do that. It's very much having a two-way conversation with people and saying, how are things going? And there's, as my parents would say, shy bands don't get notes. If you don't tell us, then how do we know? Because obviously a lot of the time with concepts, we're confident that they will do well because we've listened to you. However, certain things may not work, or a product might go out. I know there was one experience where Aperol was not available, and if you're making a drink and that is your superstar in it, then there's not that many ingredients that can replicate it. So the drink may have to be changed. So yes, that's what I would say about that question.
Okay. Thank you, John, for the answer. Antra, I hope you got the answer of your questions. Okay, you have hello from Berlin. Let me. Okay, how are you guys working during lockdown right now?
Well, in England we have a thing called furloughing. So, in all honesty, not all, but a lot of our contracts have been on hold because we had a lot of pre-openings. Mm-hmm. So therefore, we've done all of the preparation work that we can do. However, obviously we can't continue that until we go on site, but there are a lot of products that there's a lot of kind of openings that are coming back online, which is really cool. But I think we've been taking the time really just to take stock and understand that this is a once in a lifetime sort of experience. So try to do some other things and make you appreciate what's important in life, really. And so I've been on the go pretty much for 8 years. Sometimes I would be away 30, 35 weeks of the year. Mm-hmm. So therefore, it's been a bit insane to go from that kind of busyness to then being home, which is wonderful. And I've been taking up some new hobbies and reading a lot and just resetting my creativity. And I know that once things start moving, it's gonna painting. Yeah, I've been painting. I love it. And I think that's what I've realized as well, is that it's good to have other things to do. Okay. It's really important to broaden your horizons, because if you broaden your horizons, then that's other education. So I'm learning about different types of artists and styles and their creative process, because I haven't had a creative outlet, I've needed another, and that other one has turned out to be art and cooking. I love cooking and baking. Really cool.
So that means right now your girlfriend is super happy that you're cooking something at home every day.
She digs it, man. It's awesome.
Great. John, before we go to the last question, I want to ask you, as per your opinion, which kind of companies or the group need to work on the knowledge of their team? to
Which sorry,
improve the knowledge of their team.
which who needs? Sorry, it broke up there. Sorry.
Okay, as per your opinion, which kind of company or which kind of organization need to work on to improve the knowledge of their employees or their staff?
Everybody does. It's
Okay.
kind of it's like there is no education should just continue. It's no matter how experienced you are, because sometimes when you do training, you'll have a bartender who thinks he knows everything. They've been in it, and so therefore they just got this wall that I don't need to learn it, and then slowly. But then I see that as a challenge because it's an opportunity for you to kind of go, okay, and ask questions. And I personally just believe that anyone should be, no matter which hotel group or whoever it is, you should get training in. That's how you give yourself a point of difference to your competition, because there is nothing worse than going into a new venue, and you ask about a product, I don't know, or signature, or they don't understand how this food's made, or what's in this dish, what's this ingredient. Because if a guest doesn't understand what it is and you don't know, then how is that possibly possible? Training is not just about drinks. Training is about sequence of service, to how you present a drink, everything.
Everything. I know it's everything, and I think many of us already know this part. And the people who understand this point, they are the one who keep learning, keep improving their knowledge.
Yeah, the thing is, learning your craft builds your confidence.
Okay. Yes, learning.
Because if you're confident about, you go on to, there's nothing better than walking on a bar. It's beautifully set up. It's been designed in a manner that's ergonomically brilliant. You can touch something in. Sorry, my hands are going. It's one bottle. It's like one step bartender, one step theory. Everything's available in one step. And so then it's kind of. I always thought it's like you're going into battle. You're just like yes, and then you just like you wait. Then the atmosphere kicks in, and then you just go with the flow. It's amazing. But if you're not confident about the drinks you're making, you're not confident about the products you're going to be selling, you're not confident about your specs, your team that you work with, then kind of doubt creeps in. But if you're fully confident, happy days. But that confidence takes time. It's like just little building blocks. That's all you've got to do.
Okay. To all the viewers, if you have any questions to ask to John, I request you to put down the box below, so John can answer you before we finish up our session. John, before anybody write any question for you, any guiding message you want to share with our viewers or anyone who's going to see the video later on?
I think this is a thing that I've been brought up with. Manners cost nothing.
Okay.
It's for me, being rude is just, there's no place in this industry. So just being polite.
Okay.
Like I'm actually just going to get something framed in it. Basically, work hard and be nice to people. It's saying hello, pulling out a chair, opening up a door, greeting people with a smile. It doesn't cost anything. The amount of people who just look miserable, and just like keep your problems at home, man. It's just manners cost nothing, and just be nice to people, really.
Yep, just be nice with people. So from my end, I just want to say, I think so far we not received any questions. If we receive any questions in the comment box, I will share with you later on. That's the thing we can do. I just say thank you, John, for giving us your time and sharing your experience and the things, so people, whoever watching or whoever going to see this video later on, they can understand that how much education is important in the career and in their own life.
Definitely.
So everybody, like, just a very simple message. I can say summarize from John: keep smiling, keep learning, and
Yes,
pushing yourself to learn a
definitely.
new thing.
Don't
And I
become.
think, and I think
Don't.
the best thing I can say, this is the best time right now where
Mhm.
you can learn something really new and you can put yourself on the next level.
Completely. That you have. If anybody needs any advice or just drop us a line. And honestly, it's just as you quite rightly said. Just go out there and learn. Buy some books.
Yeah.
I've buy books. That's another thing. I love
Uh,
books.
you're looking
Books are.
you're looking to your books right now.
I've got. Sorry, I've got. I went through it. I went through a time where, like, every day it'll be like ding dong, and girlfriend be like, "So more books." I'm like, "Yes, it's more books." And I actually had to build bookshelves because I didn't have enough space. Because
Uh,
it's. But the
it's
thing is, though, because like for me, it's it's all well and good getting it off the internet and
uh-huh.
looking on your phone. However, opening up a book, like one of my favorite, like I bought the book by the Avery, which was huge, but it was just the sensation of opening it up and looking at it. But then you can see books from 1888 through to from like 200 years ago, and you can kind of see how things are progressing. Um, and there's no excuse for not having knowledge. So definitely try and get some books. Books will never ever leave you. They
they,
are
they always
there.
stay with you
Yep,
lifelong.
and they look cool. And they look cool. You know.
Yep. So just keep learning, everyone, and thank you, John, to joining us for some sharing. And
Yep.
hope to see you soon in the Bangkok,
Yes, I want to get
or
to.
maybe any other part of the world if the life allow us.
Yes, and no, stay safe, everyone, and thank you for joining.
Yep, that's I say. Okay, everyone. Hope to see you soon in another episode of the Bartendersseries, where we're going to learn some more things
Yeah.
around what happening. And see you. Have a wonderful
Thank you
day,
very
guys. Thank you,
thank you
John.
very much, my friend.
And don't forget to have your breakfast. It's only 11 o'clock.
I will. I might have scrambled eggs.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Cheers, dude. Bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.